Shalom and welcome to Yeshiva B'nai Noach. I'm Tom Averna, and this is Chapter 3 as we continue in the book Teach Yourself to Read Hebrew. As always, just a reminder, make sure that you have purchased the book to take the class. And otherwise, let's go ahead and begin. By way of review, then, here are the letters that we have had in Chapter 2. We have the Aleph, the Bet, the Vet, the Gimel, and the Dalet. We've had the A vowels and the E vowels. So remember, if it has a line, either a straight line or a T, if it has a line, it's an A sound. And if it's a single dot buzzing around under a letter, it has the E sound, as in B. And even if that B has a Yud attached to it, it's still an E sound. So again, think of the B buzzing around there. So straight lines, or lines at any rate, are the A. And so far we've had one of the dot vowels, and that is the E sound. Remember, if a consonant follows a vowel and has no vowel of its own, it is silent. That is the simple rule to remember here. There are other rules related to it, but the very simple one is if there's no vowel, see there's no vowel underneath the Yud here. If there's no vowel underneath a consonant, then it is silent. It's simply attached to the vowel that comes before it. Okay, so let's practice the lines. And we have just these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines that we're reviewing. And I'll ask you to stop the video in just a moment and then rehearse these lines yourself. Note any that you have difficulties with, and then we'll come back. I'll read across, and then you can stop the video again and practice until you're comfortable with it. So go ahead now and stop the video. Okay, let's start again and go through these. Here we have, again, the Aleph is a silent letter, so the only thing we're going to be pronouncing is the vowel underneath the consonant, Aleph. So here we have A, E, E. Now we have Ba, B, B. Here we have, there's no B in the letter, so the B has been vacuumed out or voided out, and so it's a V sound. So we have Va, V, Va, V. And here we have the Gimel, which looks like a camel or a gamal going forward. Also, there's a gap. You can see that little gap right here in its hoof. So this is the G sound. Gi, ga, gi, ga. And the Dalet, which is a door. So you have the top of the door here and the side here. So the D sound for Dalet. And here we have D, Da, D, Da. All right, go ahead and stop the video, practice on your own, and when you're ready, we'll go on to the next slide. So now we begin Lesson 3, Chapter 3 in your book, Teach Yourself to Read Hebrew, and we're going to pick up 5 new letters. Don't be too daunted by that. In the last lesson, we picked up 4 new letters, plus the one letter that had 2 sounds, so that's a total of 5. So we're staying on pace here. So the first letter which is the fifth letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So it has the gematria of 5, the number 5. This is the letter Hey. Vav is 6. Zayin is 7. Chet is 8. And Tet is 9, the ninth letter. Okay, so let's go back here and take a look at the Hey. This is an H sound, One way to remember it is that it has a hole. There's a hole here in the letter. And that's kind of an important thing to remember because there's another letter that's going to look exactly like it, this letter here, except that it doesn't have a hole. So remember, the H sound has a hole in the letter itself. So again, one way to remember it is that it has that hole and air escapes through it, just like the H. Hey has a lot of air in it. So the H sound has a hole, and this is the letter Hey. Okay, so Hey. Then this letter is the Vav, and this is a very, very important letter because you'll see it a lot in Torah. It's a connector. It often is translated as the word and, connecting two things, one and two. So the Vav would be connected to the word for two. So you have one Vav and then two, one and two. So Vav is important to remember. It is a connector. Now, one way to remember the purpose of the letter is to see it as a nail or a hook. And indeed, in Hebrew, if you went to a hardware store and asked for a Vav, you would be taken to perhaps the curtain section where they have hooks that you can hang things on. So the Vav is a hook. Now, to remember the letter V for Vav, one thing I've seen is that it looks kind of like if you put leaves growing around it, it's a vine. It's a vine. V for vine. It's also very straight. Very straight. It's one of the straightest of the letters. Very straight. So it's a V. V for Vav. And we've done this with some other letters, so I'll tell you this for this one as well. In biblical Hebrew, the V sound, the Vav, actually isn't what this letter is sounding like. In biblical Hebrew, this is a W, and that's part of the reason there was such a controversy about the names of God that have been circulating around. Of course, King James translated the Tetragrammaton, which is made up of 4 letters, Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. And the King James translated that as Jehovah, making the Yod a J sound, which it is not. It's a Y sound. We'll get to that. But then the third letter, Jehovah, Va, they made it a V sound, which is what it is in modern Hebrew. But in biblical Hebrew, and this is where you get the word Yahweh, it would be the Yod is a Y, so Yahweh. This is then pronounced as a W. Yod Hey Vav Hey or Yod Hey W Hey. And that's where they get that. Neither one is correct. We don't have the pronunciation. The vowels that are under the Tetragrammaton are the vowels for the name Adonai. That's all an aside here, and it's nothing for you to remember, but just some interesting facts to pick up here. But again, in modern Hebrew, and the way we'll be learning this letter, it is a V as in Victor sound, V. So again, this is the Vav and the letter V. And then we have the Zayin. Zion, the letter Z as in zebra. And there's this one's perhaps a little more difficult to see this. One way I've heard of it is to think of this as a zip line, as you're holding on to the line going across the line with some kind of bar up here. You're holding on and you're zipping across, or some people see this as a zipper with zigzags here. However, if you have other ways that you work for you, then put it in the comment section. But again, this is a Z sound. Zion is the name of it. What it looks like as far as the pictograph, the picture is concerned, and it's also related to the meaning of the word. It kind of looks like a sword here with the hilt and the blade. And one of the words for Zion, one of the words for sword, is the Zion. So it's that Z sound, Zion. Okay, so that's Hey, Vav, Zion. And then the next letter is probably, if you're not a Germanic speaker, or an Israeli speaker, or an Arabic speaker, this sound is not comfortable for many English speakers, but it's the CH sound as in Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach. It's the chet. Chet is the letter. So you make a guttural sound, and you're going to be doing some rasping as you do it. And again, not comfortable for a lot of people, but practice with it, see what you can get out of it. But just remember, it's chet, chet, chet. It's the CH sound. You have to go to the back of your throat and let the air come through. So chet, chet. And as far as remembering from the looks of it, if you're familiar with the idea of a chuppah, which is the canopy that's over the bride and groom, then you can see this as a chuppah. Might be one way to remember it. Also, that the hole that you have in the hay, in the chet, it's closed. It's closed. If you want to gutturalize that C sound, it's closed. It has no hole, so the air can't escape. So that's why it's the guttural sound as it puts itself together. I've also, if you can see, a slice of challah bread in here. That's another way that some people have remembered what this is. But again, this is the chet sound, and it's CH, if you were transliterating it. Okay? Chet, chet. So Hey, Vav, Zion, chet. And then the last letter is tet. It's a T sound. There's two T sounds in Hebrew, which can get a little confusing, but the tet has no opening, has an opening at the top. If that helps you remember, and it kind of looks like as you're going through it, it has a tail. This is the way I remember it. It has a tail. It's really the only letter that you're going to see that has this distinctive tail to it. Okay, so that's the tet, the T sound, the tail. Kind of looks like pictographically, kind of looks like a, if you will, a dragon or a sea dragon floating. But again, it's the tet. It has the tail. It's open at the top. However you can remember it, that's the T sound. So we have the Hey, the Vav, the Zion, the Chet, and the Tet. All right? So we'll go ahead and stop here and go on to the next slide. All right, let's practice the letters. We'll do this a little differently than we do with the exercises. I'm going to go ahead and read through each of the lines here. So listen and watch as I do that. And then stop the video and practice on your own. So we have ha, he, ha, he, ha, ha, he. Go on to line 2, and if you want to repeat them after me, that's fine too, but otherwise just listen, and then you'll practice on your own in just a moment. Line 2, we have again ha, he, ha, he, ha, he. And again, line 3, ha, he, ha, he, ha, he. Line 4, ha, he, ha, he, ha, he. Repeating again, line 5, ha, he, ha, he, ha, and he. And as we begin to add syllables, you don't have to do them fluently. Just take it one syllable at a time. If you can put them together, wonderful. But otherwise, so for instance, with this one, you could say ha ha, or you could take your time and say ha, he. But if you can put them together, that's wonderful. You could say he, just as you would if this were a real word. Okay, so go ahead and stop the video. Practice with that for a little bit. Then we'll go on to the next letter. Same process here. We have va, vi, va, vi, va, and vi. Va, vi, va, va, and vi. Va, vi, va, vi, va, vi. Va, vi, va, vi, va, vi. Va, vi, va, vi, va, vi. Okay, practice on your own. Next letter is our Zayin, Z as in zebra. And reading across, za, z, za, z, za, zaza, zizi. Za, z, za, z, za, zaza, zizi. Line 3, za, z, za, z, za, zaza, zizi. Line 4, za, z, za, z, za, zaza, zizi. Line 5, za, z, za, z, za, zaza, zizi. Let's go ahead and stop the video. We'll go on. Next letter is the letter chet, ch as in Bach. So this is the tough one, but take your time with it. So we have cha, chi, cha, chi, chi, cha, 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 chi, chi. Cha, chi. Get a better marker here. Let's try that again. Line 2. Cha, chi, cha, chi, chi, cha, 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 chi, chi. Line 3. Cha, chi, cha, chi, chi, cha, 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 chi, chi. Line 4. Cha, chi, cha, chi, chi, cha, 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 chi, chi. Line 5. Cha, chi, cha, chi, chi, cha, 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 chi, chi. So very difficult to maintain that sound. And again, normally you're not going to have that many of the chets in a row to have to deal with, but just work on it, practice it, drink a little milk before you start. Anyway, so that's the chet. We'll go on to the next letter after you've stopped the video and begin practicing with the chet sound. And lastly, we have the letter tet, T as in tall, tet. And reading across, we have, again, let me get a better marker here. We have the ta, the T, the ta, T, T, ta, ta ta, T T. Ta, T, ta, T, T, ta, ta ta, T T. Line 3. Ta, T, ta, T, T, ta, ta ta, T T. Line 4. Ta, T, ta, T, T, ta, ta ta, T T. Line 5. Ta, T, ta, T, T, ta, ta ta, T T. All right, stop the video, practice on your own, then we'll come back to the next slide. So now we'll continue on from your books. Here we're looking at the look-alike letters, the hey and the chet, and as we said, the hey has the hole, the chet does not. We didn't practice this at the start, but remember in our first lesson we did have the tav, and we'll be seeing it again. But the comparison here, if you recall, the tav has a toe and the chet does not. So again, they kind of look alike, except that the tav has a toe. Okay? And then the other two letters that they talk about as lookalikes, we have the vav and the zayin. I don't know is that confusing, but at any rate, the vav has a very straight side, whereas the zayin is kind of zigzagged. You have the top, and then the straight line is down the middle, from the middle of the top, and the top is at kind of an angle, so it's a zigzag for the Z sound. Okay, so those are your look-alike letters. And then the sound-alike letters that we have here, we have the vet, which is a V sound. Remember, that's the bet without the dot, is a V sound. And the vav is a V sound. Again, in biblical ancient Hebrew, these wouldn't be sound-alikes because this would be a W. But in modern Hebrew, we have two V sounds. So if you're doing the exercises we've talked about before where you're translating an English word with Hebrew letters, and if the English word has a V in it, then you can use either one. There's really no rule as to which one you use in terms of transliteration there. Of course, the Hebrew itself since every letter has its own energy and power, it does make a difference which V you use in a particular word. But at any rate, you'll begin to, as you recognize vocabulary, you'll begin to recognize which of the letters is being used in each one. But just from the standpoint of reading Hebrew, just remember they're both a V sound. Same with the T. The Tav is a T sound, and the Tet is a T sound. Okay, Tav and Tet. Sound alike letters, have the same letter as T. Again, doesn't matter which one you use if you're transliterating an English word. It does matter, of course, in the vocabulary to spell the words correctly with the correct letter. All right, from your book, this is pages 16 and 17. Let's go ahead and do some practicing here as we read across. Again, I'll read this, all of them here, and then down here, and then I'll have you stop the video and practice it on your own. So here we go. Across the top here, we have cha, we have ta, we have ha, we have chi, we have ti, we have he, we have va, we have za, vi, zi, ta, chi, and he. Okay, so as you practice those, just remember to look for the distinctive marks to make sure you recognize which letter you have here. So that the Tav has a toe, the Chet does not. So recognize that. The Hey has a hole, the Chet does not. So these three letters kind of look alike, but notice the distinction between them so that you can recognize them. Same with the Vav and the Zayin. The Zayin has a zigzag top here, or an angled top, and the line down the middle, whereas the Vav is very straight. And again, the same distinctions here between the Tav, the Chet, and the Hey. All right. So now we'll go ahead and, well, if you want to stop the video, go ahead and do that, and then read across here, and then we'll do this exercise down here next. Go ahead. All right, let's go ahead and read 1 through 5 lines. I'll read them, and then you can stop the video, and or actually, I guess we've been doing this a little differently. Go ahead and stop the video. Try these on your own this time, and then I'll read them, and then you can practice after that. Okay, so go ahead and stop the video now. Try them on your own. All right, so now let's go through these. So here we have va. There's no B in here, so it's not a B sound, it's a V sound. So va, 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 B, V, vive, vive, beeve, 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 and vav. Line 2, tot, tot, teat, teat, tot, tach, and ta. Line 3, cha, ta, ha, I'm sorry, that's cha, ta, cha, ha, ta, cha, tot, chach, and ha. And notice, just like in English, when the H is at the end of a word, it's going to be silent. So here we have ha. You don't really, it's not going to be ha. It's just going to end with this first syllable here with the H tacked onto the end, but it doesn't make a sound. So again, this would be just pronounced ha. You're not going to pronounce the second hey. Again, if it doesn't have a vowel under it, remember our rule. Although at the end that can make a difference, but the hey is going to be silent when it's at the end, just like in English. We often see that happen. Okay, so let's go on to line 4. He, 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 heat, tea, and chich. Line 5. Va, za, za, vi, zi, va, zi, vi, vaz, ziv, viz, vaz, and bav. Bav. Okay, go ahead and stop the video. Practice on your own. All right, so here we're picking up a new vowel sound. So the vowels we've already learned. We have anything that's a line is going to be the ah sound. And then we have the single dot, which is the B buzzing, so it's the E sound. So ah and E. And now we have two dots, and it's pronounced as A. Again, just like the E sound here, the A sound is the same with or without this little yud here. Okay, so A and A, they're both going to be pronounced the same, A and A. A is in hey. So, again, however you can remember that, one way that has worked for some is to see this as two bees going on their way. Two bees going on their way as they're traveling on their way to the next flower. But A as in way. And again, like any of the other vowels, the vowel that we talked about here, the E, the A is going to sound the same with or without the yud. So, hey or hey, it doesn't matter. It's going to have the same sound. Okay? So, look at that for a little bit. Make sure you're comfortable with it. Then we'll go on. All right. Once again, we have an opportunity to practice what we've learned. So stop the video, see if you can do this on your own, and then come back. I'll read through it, and then you'll have another opportunity to stop the video and continue to practice with it. Okay, so go ahead and stop the video now. All right, let's read through. Line 1, we have hey, 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 he, hey, he, ve, vi, v. Line 2, te, ta, te, ta, ti, he, hey, te, he. Line 3, ze, ve, vi, zi, za, ve, va, ze, zev, I'm sorry, that was Z's. It's sometimes hard to to see these two apart, but there are two Z's here, so that's Z's, Z's, and this is Zave, Zave. All right, line 4. Haze, V's, Tave, Vate, Heave, Tase, T, and Tot. All right, go ahead to stop the video, practice it on your own. As we talked about before, we're not going to spend a lot of time on how to write the letters, but I would like you to take the time to practice with writing the letters and write them out, as it's a very great tool to help you to remember and memorize the letters. So as you write them across the page. You can go hey, 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 hey. Or put vowels underneath it. So whatever vowels you put under it, you might go ha, ha, he. But anyway, practice them, write them across a page. Take the time to do this. The more time you spend building this foundation, the easier it's going to be for it to stay with you over the years. So get that foundation in now. That's what the goal is here. Okay, so go ahead and take a look at this, and then we'll begin our exercises in just a moment. As we mentioned before, we will be skipping all of the writing exercises from your book, but I do recommend that you go back through them yourself and see what you can practice with. But again, our goal here is to learn to read, not so much to learn to write, but for the purposes of memorizing at the beginning. Writing at least the letters and the vowels that you've learned are very important. So you can check off the ones that we do in class and just make sure that you can do the others on your own as you would like to. Now this is matching, but this is the one where you would transliterate, and so I just want to show this to you. We're not going to spend a lot of time here on this exercise, but it's again a very good one to do on your own. But even when they don't give you the matching words, try writing it out on your own. Remember that if you have two sounds that sound alike, then you can use either one. So for instance, here we have we have hot, hot, and so you could write this way, or you could put a tav at the end of it. It wouldn't really matter as far as this exercise is concerned, either one. So hot. Okay, so take your time with it and see what you can find that works for you in practicing it. Okay, exercise 4, read the following combinations of letters and vowels. So again, take the time to practice it, read across on lines 1, 2, and 3, see how you do on your own, come back, and we'll go through it. So line 1, here we have a, bay, vey, gay, day, hey, vey, zay, he, t. Here we have sound, the H, the hey, right there. And we have ha, he, hey, hey, had, heish, haid, and hich. And the vav, the V sound here, va, vi, ve, vey, vash, veg, vat, vit, and vive. So this is, I think, this is vid. I think I may have put a T on the end of it, but this is vid. Make sure you get that D sound, not a T sound. Vid. Okay, go ahead and practice it. Then on your own again until you're comfortable with it. We'll move on to the next slide. Continuing the same exercise here, line 4, then practice it. Try and do it on your own. Then come back. I'll read across it, and then you can practice it again on your own. So number 4, we have the Z sound, Zion, Za, Z, Zay, Zay, Zat, Zesh, Zeg, Ziv, Zich. And the Chet, line 5, Cha, Cha, Che, Che, Chag, Chaz, Che, Chit. Line 6, the T sound, the Tet, Ta, Ti, Te, Te, Tat, Tish, Tid, and Tot. Okay, go ahead and stop and practice till you're comfortable, then we'll move on. Okay, this exercise, exercise 5 in your book, has you read and circle sound-alikes. So you can go ahead and do that. We're not going to do that here in class. We're just going to read through the line. The other thing that I've done here is highlighted words that we've had before. And I may not do this all the time, but just to kind of encourage you to, again, we're not learning vocabulary, but if you can begin to recognize words that we have had before, and some of these either we've had before or will be coming up in this one, then it's a good idea to begin to recognize words, because that's the best way to learn to really read quickly through Hebrew, is to recognize words rather than letters. So if they become familiar to you, fine. If they don't, that's not a problem. But in this case, I have highlighted words that we should be familiar with. Again, some of these are from this chapter, so you won't necessarily be familiar with them. All right, so again, read through each of these 5 lines, then come back, and I'll read through it with you, and then you can read it on your own until you're comfortable with them. Okay, go ahead and stop the video. Okay, let's read through. So we have beat, we have bat, which is daughter, we have bait, we have behave, sounds like an English word there, behave, and then we have beha, beha. Okay, we have, by the way, these are not all Hebrew words, just the few that we have noticed here that I've marked. But at any rate, let's continue on with line 2. We have tave. Okay, tave. We have gave. Gave. We have gaze. Gaze. We have Dave. We have shave. And we have shave. Okay. And line 3, we have avid, gavid, bavid, tavid, bid, and David, King David's name, David. And next line we have gate, bech, hate, date. We have bech. We have chait. Last line we have shecha, shachat. And again, take your time with them. You don't have to say them together. Take a syllable at a time. You can do this one as sha, and then chat, sha, chat. sheet, sheet. And then shot. And then Shabbat, Shabbat. That one you should recognize. And then shady, shady or shady, English word, shady. Okay, so go ahead and practice these on your own till you're comfortable. Then we'll come back and do the next one. All right, let's continue on. Again, now we're in exercise 6, page 21. And we have here 6 lines we'll be reading across. So go ahead and stop the video, see how many of these you can feel comfortable going through on your own. Come back, I'll read them for you, and then we'll have you stop the video till you're comfortable. And here we're beginning to get longer or more letters in the word, a little longer to pronounce. But as I said before, take your time and just read it letter, vowel, letter, vowel, letter, put them together. But just take your time with it. All right, go ahead and stop the video. Practice. All right, so let's read across here. We have aviv, aviv, ba, viv, ga, viv, a, viv, and av, which you should recognize as the word father. Or you don't have to, but it is the word father. We've had that. Okay, next line. This word, I think, in this vocabulary, ata means you. Ata means you. But here we go. Let's read through it. A-ta. Ata. A-za. Eza. A-ga. Ega. A-ta. Ata. A-vav. Avav. And then ach. Ach. Next line. He. The aleph is silent, so all you're doing is pronouncing this letter and vowel combination here. So it's he. And then ha, bat. Ha, bat. I've marked this one because, again, bat is daughter, a word we've had. The hey in front of it is another thing we haven't learned, but if you can start recognizing the roots, then it doesn't matter what other letters are around it, you'll begin to recognize words. But anyway, at any rate, so this is ha-bat, which means the daughter, habat. Ha-zat, hazat. Ha-beit, habeit. Ha-chet, ha-chet. Ha-beit, habeit. Here we have chit and chiz and heave, heave. Here we have chita, chita. Here we have he, va, hiva. And here we have chit. All right. Next line. Gadish, gadish. Hadish, hadish. Tadish, tadish. Chadish, chadish. And hadish, hadish. Last line. Bait, date, hate, Tate, hate, and hate. Okay, go ahead and practice these till you feel comfortable with them, and then we'll go on. Exercise 7, and these are all Hebrew, real Hebrew words. I can't even speak English. Real Hebrew words. Again, we'll read through them. The highlighted, I'll just go through this first. The highlighted ones, of course, Av, you might recognize as father. Ba'ish, we've had the word ish before. Ish means man. Ba is just a prefix for it, but again, recognize the word ish. And here it is by itself, ish, so both of those meaning man. And then again, we have the word bat for daughter. Okay, so again, stop the video, practice these as well as you can, and then come back. I'll read through them, and then you can practice them on your own. Okay, stop the video. All right, let's read across. So we have Av, Ba, Abba. We have Avi, Avi. We have Avad, Avad. Ibad, Ibad. Line 2. Adash, Adash. Next one is Ba'ish, Ba'ish. Ishi, Ishi, Ishi. And Ish. Line 3. B, Ba'ash, Bagad, Bagad, Bug, and Bod. Line 4. Bata, again, that aleph is silent, so just bata. Bati, bati. Bat, so you wouldn't put anything in between it, so it's as if this letter is just not even there. So you don't pause. You wouldn't say bat, you would say bat, as if that letter wasn't even there. Bat. And then bat as the last word here. Okay, go ahead and practice on your own. Come back, we'll go on to the next exercise. All right, continuing on. Again, stop the video, practice these as well as you can on your own. Come back, and I'll go through them. Go ahead and stop the video. Okay, line 5. We have Gav. We have Gabi. We have Gog. We have Gadad, Gadad. Gadi, Gadi. And Got. Line 6. We have Dog. Again, that aleph disappears. Dog. We have Da'av. So there's a vowel under the aleph now, so it can't disappear. So we have to add an extra syllable. So now we have Da'av, Da'av. And Da'ag, Da'ag. And Dibat, Dibat. And Dog, Dog. Line 7. Ta-vi, Ta-vi. Ta-shav, Ta-shav. Shav. And Ta-shiv, Ta-shiv. Sheav, tashiv. Line 8, shavit, shavit. Shavat, shavat. Ba, Shabbat, Bashabat, and Shabbat. Okay, practice on your own. And our last exercise for this lesson. Again, real Hebrew words, and you're going to practice them. So go ahead and do the best you can here. I'll go ahead and stop the video, and then come back and I'll read across. Stop the video now. All right, so let's read across. So here we have Aviv, Ahev, Az, Ach, Eid, and Esh. Line 2, Baz, Biza, Batach, Gave, Gav, and Bait. I think this is a vocab word for this lesson, which we'll see in the next page here. But this is the word for a house, Bait. Okay, so line 3, Gav, Gadish, Gadish, Geha, 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 Gaze, Giza, Giza, Gazes, Gazes, Gazes. Line 4, Diba, Da, Ga, Daga, Ata, Ata, Dash, Date, Date, and David, King David. Okay, practice on your own till you're comfortable with them, and then that will go on. Finishing up lesson or exercise 8 here in chapter 3. Stop the video, do the best you can, and then we'll come back. I'll read through them, stop the video, and practice. Go ahead and stop the video. Okay, line 5. He, Ha'av, Chadid, Hav, Habait, Haga. Line 6. Zavach, Zavach, Zibach, Zibach, Zahav, Zahav, Ziv, Zavat, Zavat, Zavad, Zavad. Line 7. Zaid, Chibesh, Chibesh, Chagav, Chagav, Chad, Ta, and Chag. Line 8. Chita, Chita, Chite, Chite, Cha, tat, chatat. Cha, shave. I'm sorry, cha, shav, chashav. And cha, dash, chadash. All right. Something also to point out to you. I mentioned the Begad Kafat letters, which have the dagesh in it, the dot in them. Okay. Almost any letter in Hebrew can have a dot in it. That dot does not change the pronunciation of the letter. It has a purpose grammatically, and that is essentially to double the letters. So essentially there are two T's in this word. So you would put one T with this syllable, so it would be chit, and the other T with the other syllable, and it would be ta. So chit, ta. But you don't have to remember that. I just want to point out that this dot in any letter doesn't change the sound of the letter, with the exception of the three Begad Kafat letters that we point out, that we will point out and have pointed out, that do change the sound. But otherwise, if you see a dot in any Hebrew letter, ignore it. It doesn't matter. And again, technically, you're going to drag that letter out a little bit longer, but it really, if you don't, you don't. It's not a big deal. But that's the purpose of, that's why you'll see dots in other Hebrew letters besides the Begad Kafat letters. And of course, if we're reading without vowels, those dots won't be there at any rate. All right, so go ahead and stop the video, practice these on your own, and then we'll finish up. All right, so these are the letters that we've picked up in this exercise. So we have David, King David, David, and just again a little point of interest, nothing to change anything you're doing, but we did mention that this is one of the Begad Kafat letters, and in modern Hebrew, if it has a dot or if it doesn't have a dot, it doesn't make a difference. The dot, or dagesh, is kind of like a stopper. It stops the sound. So in ancient Hebrew, these two letters would be pronounced differently. So with the dot, that stopper there, so you're going to have a D, D, D. There's no sound flow through the D sound. It's just a D, D. But when you put air through it, then it becomes a V, 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 V. So this is actually, again, and remember the V is a W in ancient Hebrew. So King David's name is actually Dawith. Dawith. King Dawith. Just a point of interest, again, for modern Hebrew, and what we're learning here, there's no difference in the sound of this D and this D. This is a V here, so David, that's where we get King David from. But just so you know. All right, another word we picked up is chadash, which means new, chadash. So again, you can go back through the exercises and see if you can find these words. Begin to recognize them if you want. We also had the word chag, which means a holiday. If you say during any holiday, Passover, Hanukkah, if you say to someone Chag Sameach, it means happy holiday, essentially. Sameach is happy. So Chag Sameach, happy holiday, happy festival. We also saw the word beit for house or house of, and then the word atah for you. So again, go back over the exercises, especially exercise 8, and see if you can spot these words in there. All right. And once again, as I mentioned, we may not go through this in every lesson, but the last section of each chapter does have learning hints and suggestions. It talks about this. We mentioned most of this in the lesson itself. Remember that the H, just as in English, can be silent if it's at the end of a word. The example I give here is Sarah. It's the H is or isn't there. With or without the H, you're just not going to hear it. It's not going to be pronounced, but it's important to have it there. Okay, as far as the spelling, that's Sarah's name. Okay, so also we talked about look-alike letters. We see this the same in English. We also have sound-alike letters in English, and they have a way to remember the difference between the hey and the chet. It's just essentially that air is escaping in the hey, and it can't escape in the chet. Okay? So again, learning hints and suggestions at the end of each chapter. So that's a look at chapter 3, lesson 3 for Teach Yourself to Read Hebrew. We'll be back again with lesson 4, chapter 4 next. But to make sure you're familiar with this chapter and all the previous ones before you go on. And thanks for your time. Shalom.